All right. It says we're live. We need to give it a few seconds. Who is in here and tell us if they can hear us? We'll do a 5x9 or a 2x4. So,
or a 3x8 or a 15x16
yeah,
or something.
6x6, a big glue, like a 18x24 glue laminated beam. Something
I
like
see people coming in, but let us know you can hear us.
because apparently it takes like 30-second delay on the start of it. Now I dropped to 4 people. I don't think that thing's accurate, honestly.
It'll be
Yeah,
all right.
it might not be. It might be a little bit delayed.
All right. Shelly.
I'm going to go ahead and start. So, hey, everybody. Welcome back to...
intro.
I wouldn't if you would shut up. Anyway, hey, everybody. Welcome back to Kentucky Sustainable Living, where we're talking all things festival. We have an awesome guest with us tonight, and I'm going to botch your last name. You're going to have to tell me if I say it right. Dayton Bornique.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Okay. I am super excited about this interview because I want to know how this, I'm going to say young man, I'm not going to tell anybody how old you are, but I'm going to say this young man, like, how did he even get to the point that he's able to get out of restraints and all of that kind of stuff? I'm super excited to go to his workshop and see what he has to say. But yeah, Jason, you want to add anything?
No, well, we're going to have to get on. We're going to have to do the whole backstory. I mean, when did this start? Did this start when you were in your crib and trying to get out of the crib, escaping out of that kind of thing?
So, pretty much. So I was homeschooled my whole life, never been to public school. And obviously that gave me a lot of opportunities to be able to learn, have a freer schedule that was more pliable, more maneuverable, if you will. And I just would watch movies. I'd watch stuff like MacGyver or whatever it was. And I would just want to be that action hero or be that superhero or that spy or that ninja or that military guy. I'd always just wanted to be that. So I would go out and I'd read as many books as I could, watch videos. I would try to find people that I knew that had certain interests that I could just learn from, and like going down that road and that rabbit hole of just trying to just funnel all of that information and just being not the best, but I always strive for perfection. I know that I'm never going to be the best at something. There's always going to be someone bigger and better, but I always strive to be that top 5%. So just kind of going until I'm pretty as close to mastery as I can on something. But yeah, so it was just as my interest kind of grew growing up. That was just what it was. It just kind of dictated the skills that I learned.
I've got to send a text real quick. Shelly, do it.
Did you go to public school?
No, never been to public school.
I was going to say, you do not seem like the product of public schooling, for real.
Well,
I mean that as a compliment. I mean that in the greatest way possible, because you seem to be very confident. You seem to have drive. You seem to know what you want. You seem to understand yourself. And it seems like the public school system beats that out of kids. And I'm saying that because I used to be a teacher in the public school system. So, you know, I'm very impressed with you. And when I met you up in Ohio, like, you were just the most gracious thing. You're just sweet.
Well, I appreciate it. I try.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can tell the difference most of the time. 90% of the time, kids that have been homeschooled or going to private school as opposed to public school, it's like night and day difference on 90% of the kids. So
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny. Kids go to school even in private school, kids go to school 7 to 8 hours a day. And it's like, you could get all that stuff done. You're getting stuff done probably in 3 hours? Maybe?
Yeah, it just depends. A lot of what like my schooling is obviously there's some things like reading, writing, like math, history, like some things that are just core that I go by a curriculum. But a lot of other things, it's a lot of life skills. So I think a lot of what public school prepares kids for nowadays, this might be getting off into a rabbit trail, but a lot of the things they prepare aren't exactly applicable and don't really prepare kids for that after graduation, after college life, to where they have to learn a lot of things that they weren't taught in school and that their parents thought they were being taught in school. So right. A lot of it is more is life skills and practical use, like entrepreneurship, how capitalism works, investing, like a lot of the real stuff, budgeting, finances, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and it's for me, like I graduated from Western Kentucky University with civil engineering, construction management. And you took that, and this is, a college. People, they prepped you. They're like, when you get out with this construction management degree, you can run jobs. You're going to run $1 million jobs and stuff like that. I would take those guys to my shop, and they wouldn't know how to hammer a nail in or screw a screw in. I'm like, so they're going to put these kids that know absolutely nothing in charge of these projects. The roofer can come over and tell them, hey, Joe, we got the roof done. We need you to sign off that it's done. He has no idea whether the roof's done or not. He's just going to take their word for it and sign off. And it's like, you're in charge of this. There's no practical skills that they teach you in a lot of the public schools, for sure.
Right. Common sense and discernment and troubleshooting, problem solving, all that kind of stuff is like, they program you to be a good worker and to do what you're told and not to think for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They indoctrinate them into whatever the flavor of the week is. So,
Absolutely.
Well, Dayton, since you said you watched MacGyver and all that, did you have your little Swiss Army knife and everything?
I did. I'm not the biggest fan of Swiss Armies just because every time I've ever been in the hospital, it's because of a Swiss Army because they didn't lock. But I will say the Swiss Army Ranger I carry with me, and that's one of my favorites because it does have a liner lock on it.
All
so
right.
SAK Rangers is where it's at as far as that goes.
Wow. I'm a contractor. I carry one of the Milwaukee utility knives, the Fastback or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's what I use every day. And then most of the time, if I remember, I'll throw a Gerber. I've got a Gerber lock blade that I've had for years. I'll throw it in my pocket. So.
Yep. Gerbers are solid.
Yep.
Melanie's a big MacGyver fan too.
I have not watched MacGyver, and I don't know when. I need to show Lincoln that show.
It's pretty awesome. I know they've got the originals that they've got all the seasons of, and then they redid a newer season or a newer series of it. I believe it's 2016 that they did, and it was good. It was a lot different, but it was still pretty good.
Wow. All right.
I love that show when I was a kid. That was like MacGyver and Dukes of Hazzard and what else was on? Oh, drawing blank. I love those shows.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Shelly, you're going to have to handle the chat. There are all kinds of people in chat. Demo man Don's there. Miss Sharon's here. I know.
Yeah, I'm watching for questions. We're good.
All right. Well, we'll go down some rabbit holes here and there. If y'all got questions for Dayton on lockpicking, getting out of restraints, and stuff like that, put them in the chat, and we'll answer those in a few minutes. So, Dayton, I didn't know if your lockpicking and restraint stuff was when you got in a bind, you got arrested and you had to figure it out on the fly. And then in the back of the cop car, you busted out and you're a fugitive on the run. And you're like, hey, I can teach this stuff since I figured it out.
Well, hey, to answer that question, you're gonna have to show up at the event and take the class.
Right.
You'll tell the ins and outs at the festival then.
When he called me and told me, he was like, we got this kid that does lock picking and he wants to come and do a workshop. And I was like, is he a criminal? It's like, what do you mean you have somebody doing lock picking? He's like, no, I don't think he's a criminal.
Yeah, I do get that a lot, especially from parents, especially from just concerned citizens. And what I'll say just to answer that, it's just such a useful skill to have in your tool set. I mean, I've had classes before where students have locked themselves out of their cars, and within 5 minutes I can get them into it, whereas it would have taken AAA 3 hours to get there, right? Like old sheds and stuff, pretty confidently I can say that I've had 3 or 4 times where it's either like I do a lot of mowing and landscaping yard work where I've had to get into a shed before and they're like, hey, like I don't have the key. They're looking around for it. And within a couple minutes, it's able to be opened. Houses, I mean, it's just the same thing where it's like, it's such a practical use. Whereas if you call a locksmith, it's going to be maybe 100, 150, wherever you're at, just for them to come and pop your door open. So there's definitely lots of practical applications. And obviously I always teach everything with practical applications in mind. but it's definitely a valuable skill, especially for your own use. Obviously, everything within legal boundaries.
That's funny.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mel wants to know where in Indiana.
I'm about 45 minutes to an hour north of Indianapolis.
All right.
I grew up in Indianapolis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
We almost always have at least 2 people lock their keys in their car at the festival. So we're so glad you're going to be there. You might be able to make some scratch on the side for real.
There you go. A little side business.
Yeah. Well, they did on a side hustle out at the expo years ago when I was in college out there. Our fraternity was in charge of parking. They would pay us to do the parking out there. And it'd been raining and raining. They had the rodeo. So we were running out of room, and usually they would park them in some fields. So we started parking people in the fields. These cars started sinking. So then after the rodeo, we went out there with the tractor and was pulling people out for like $25 a head.
Yeah, there you go.
We made some good money that night.
Yeah, I bet. That's not a bad idea.
I think this is a question, but I'm not sure. It says, Dayton, how content, I think that's the wrong word. Have you helped people get into their house? I guess, have you helped people get into their house?
Yeah, I've definitely helped people get into their houses before. Cars are definitely the most popular. Houses, I would say, are a little bit farther on the list. Typically, people have some sort of spare key, but I helped my history teacher get into her house one time. One of her older kids that had been coming home from college was going to stay at their house, and everyone else was at their vacation home or somewhere else, and it was hours away, and they had 2 kids that were coming back from college, and she gave me a ring, and she was like, "Hey, I know you do lockpicking. Is there any chance that you can come and like help my kids get into our house?" So I went up, and this is at like 11 at night. I come over there, and within 5-10 minutes, I got them into their house, and they were very grateful. I actually got in payment a big bag of popcorn from that. I would deem it a fair trade.
Good skill to have. This is Hochstetler's Haven. It says advice on performing picking without line of sight. I'm not even sure what that means.
I'm assuming he's talking about like subtly picking locks out of the eye of passersby or of people that are walking around.
See, I thought it meant like looking into the lock and not being able to see the stuff, but you're probably right.
Well, I'll try to do my best to answer both. So as far as trying to keep it in a nonchalant area, just trying to, I mean, there's not really a reason to be out of sight unless you're doing something nefarious, obviously, but it might look bad in a certain area if you're breaking into a car, even if it's your own car or something. So I can see how that would be a reasonable concern. Honestly, there's not a whole lot you can do. Really, any attempts to try to make it less noticeable is just going to stand out even more. I would say, honestly, there's other than it being at night and trying to act as nonchalant as you can, there's not a whole lot you can do to not look as obvious unless you're acting like you're trying to service or and this kind of goes more into like burglary or like anti-theft kind of stuff, like acting like you're servicing their meter or acting like you belong there or like blending in with your surroundings to where it would look normal that you would be messing around with their door or something like that. A vest, a clipboard, and a hard hat goes a long way.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Is there a lock that you can't pick?
Absolutely. So people will always, they'll try to stump me. What I teach and what I try to do is show people methods that they can get through 80 to 90% of the locks that they're going to run into. Whether it's picking, bypass techniques, or forceful entry techniques, I try to just be able to give them the methods that are going to get through most of the things they're going to encounter. Because every lock is made differently. There's so many different brands and mechanisms and everything that is so intricate and different, even to the point where you have to have separate tools for certain locks. And I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on sophisticated tools for only a certain type of lock, and I don't expect the normal person to. So that's more of a locksmithing thing. Right. I just teach what's going to get people into most things, and not all of it's picking. Some of it's bypass. Some of it's manipulation of the lock. But as far as that goes, I try to just do what's going to pick most things. I've brought locks to master locksmiths before, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to pick it. I'm not going to waste my time. If it was me, I would just drill it. So it gets to a certain point where you just are going to have a forceful entry or destructive entry.
Yeah, because I keep talking about drilling it. I keep 2 universal keys in my truck. One of them is a angle grinder, and the other one is a pair of bolt cutters.
Absolutely.
That's
9mm does pretty well too.
I'm thinking that at some point this may be a income stream for you to actually do like consultations with people to have better security.
It potentially could be a lot of security as far as businesses, or I've even talked with people that have worked for Schlage or Kwikset. A lot of what they do is turning so much into more tech now, less hardware, more software and computer stuff. I don't do much at all as far as the cyber or computer aspect of it. A lot of it's all hardware and manipulation like that. Once it gets into more of that, which unfortunately a lot of our society is getting into more of the AI, the cyber protection and all of that, there's not a whole lot I can do other than bypassing or non-destructive entry.
See, that whole thing freaks me out because one of my bosses at work, their whole house, it operate like they talk to their house. They tell when the heat goes up and the refrigerator tells them when to buy milk, and they have a thumb thing to get into their house and no keys and all this kind of stuff. And that freaks me out because I'm like, what if that breaks?
Right.
Or what if it locks you in? Or, I mean, like all these horror things just go through your mind about what can happen to you or whatever. I'm like, I just want a house that just normal,
Exactly. Yep. And I absolutely understand that.
Yeah, I don't want all that
ahead,
crap.
Jason,
I don't want all that crap, the smart house and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm like, no. I would like to go back to the old school mercury thermometers, honestly. That you did the little dial and stuff like that.
Yep.
I would do that.
Yeah.
So Poor and Bruce Spirit
stands the test of time. That's for sure.
Poor and Bruce Spirit says, what is the easiest lock to pick?
There's not a specific, but I will say that brand, as far as a brand goes, master locks typically are the easiest to break and the easiest to pick. They're a great beginner starter lock, especially if you don't have practice locks or anything like that. They have some rare finds that you'll find a decent lock that is kind of harder to pick, but the majority of them are extremely easy to either go through and manipulate the mechanisms or bypass or just to purely just pick it.
Yeah. Rosie has an answer for that too. The one that's not locked.
Hey, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, real quick. Y'all got, what is today? The 26th. Y'all have 4 more days if you've not gotten your ticket yet. 4 more days to get your ticket to be entered to win the last spot in the refuge medical class. So anybody that buys tickets in the month of June is registered to win a spot in the refuge class, the one and only spot that's left. And we've got the ticket for that. So if you're coming, get your tickets.
You guys are going to want to check that out. That's a pretty cool class.
Yeah.
It looks like you got a fan, Dayton. Says, I've met Dayton a few times. Aside from lockpicking, his fire skills are very impressive as well.
Yep, he's a cool guy. We've been to a couple events together. He's got some cool content on his channel as well. Appreciate it, man.
All right, what else we got? All right.
Oh, this is a good thought too. I guess I'm not sure what LOT is, but he's talking about the devices. Keep devices on a separate network than your sensitive computers. Good. I hadn't thought about that.
All right. I don't know nothing about that. All the tech stuff gets me. I'm just like, sure. So, all right. So, Dayton, tell us kind of what you're going to do. Don't give away everything that you're going to show at the workshop and everything, but tell us kind of what you're going to be covering. I know we've talked about lockpicking, restraint escape, stuff like that. Kind of fill us in and tell us some stuff. Tease it out a little bit because these people need to come to the festival.
Yeah, absolutely. So my kind of title, I guess, if you will, is I'm a survival and tactical skills instructor. So, and I travel around United States teaching at different events, gatherings, conferences, festivals, etc. And I do a lot of bushcrafting and survival and kind of primitive things as far as that goes, like primitive fire making, shelter building, water purification, a lot of that primitive survival stuff. And then I kind of marry that with more tactical modern survival skills. So Lockpicking 101 and Restraint Breaching / Escape are two of my most popular classes in that genre. And both of those I'm going to be doing at the Kentucky Sustainable Living event. I'm going to have my Lockpicking 101 where I'm just going to go through and I'm going to show you guys the basics to lockpicking. And I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to bypass locks. And really the biggest thing is once you guys get the fundamentals of basic lockpicking, I'm going to go through and introduce a lot of advanced tools. I'm just going to share the name of them and what they do and how they work, not going too deep into it, just an overview of it, just in case you want to go beyond the 101 class and pursue that more of a hobby or an interest, then you kind of have a basis to start on, if that makes any sense. So that's the Lockpicking 101 class. And then for Restraint Breaching / Escape, I'm going to be going, and I really enjoy this class. It's probably one of my favorites to teach. It's very interactive, very social class, and everyone just enjoys it. And it's just a fun, interactive class the whole time. But so for that class, I go over and I started up by doing a little talk on situational awareness, what to look out for, what to keep in mind whenever you're just going around everyday life. I go through and I show ways to get out of duct tape, zip ties, handcuffs, etc., different restraints, and talk about each one. I demonstrate each one in multiple ways, differing on the exact technique. And I'll go through all that. And at the end, I'll talk about EDC items, everyday carry items, and more covert / spy tools that you can keep on you that might help if you're ever in that tactical, unfortunate situation. So I'll go through and talk about all of that. And then at the end of the class, anyone who wants to participate and try out anything can come up, and I'm more than welcome. They're more than welcome to sit and try it all out for themselves, and I'll give them pointers and work it through. And I've had 3-year-olds be able to go through and do some of this stuff, and it's the most impressive thing. I've had 70-year-old ladies that have broken out of handcuffs and all these different things. It's just a fun class altogether, and you definitely don't want to miss out on it.
It sounds. I'm interested. I want to get you and just sit down with you before the festival and be like, show me some of this stuff. I mean, that's my plan. So I want to kidnap you before the festival and be like, show me some of this.
Sounds good. Just don't tie me up.
Yeah. What do you got? Now you're going to have a booth and have some stuff there, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what kind of stuff are you going to have? And I preface this, I need a couple handcuff keys because I wear LA police gear pants. I found LA police gear pants. I absolutely love them. And the style that I wear, I'd ordered some the other day, and I was looking, and I looked at the tag. They have got a spot in the back belt loop to put a handcuff key. And I'm like, that's pretty sweet. I was like, I didn't even know that. So I need some handcuff keys.
Yep, there's a couple different brands of gear that make really cool urban kind of styled pants and like clothing like that are really cool. I've got some Duluth pants and I absolutely love them. Wearing them right now, in fact, and they've got all these different pockets and cool slip away, hide away things like you were talking about with the handcuff keys. But as far as my booth goes, I've got some really good, solid starter lockpicking kits with visual aids and learning aids that are I would say probably some of the best kits that are just very versatile and great for people that are just getting into it, beginners and all the way up to intermediate. I'll be selling those along with my own ferro rods that I've made. These are fire starters essentially that you can get about 15 to 20,000 sparks from. It's just a rod that you take and you rub a striker against it and then sparks will fly out. I'll be doing live demos all weekend that people can check that out. I've got some different lighters that I've situated into, I call them survival lighters because I've built them out the exact way that I carry mine, and I found it to be the most practical, efficient way that lighters, especially in the bushcraft or survival realm, are to be outfitted. So I'll have a couple examples of those that I'll be selling. I also have some really cool, and it's not going to be the time of year for it quite yet, but I've got some really cool setups as far as neck gaiters, beanies, and gloves that are made out of military waffle top material. And it's really cool because not only are they thermal, but they're also highly evaporative. So if you're sweating, if you're wet, if you wet them down, you put them on, it's gonna evaporate, which will in turn cool you down. So it's some really cool stuff. The guy I get them from is from Colorado, and he is contracted with Green Berets, Navy SEALs, and it does a lot of private contracting with military as far as that goes. And I'm the only other dealer that deals that kind of gear. And so far, I haven't had a whole lot of interest in it, obviously, because it's a little hot right now. But in more of the winter and fall classes, I expect that they'll do really well, because people will start feeling the cold a little bit, and they'll discover a little bit later down the road how versatile it is for all seasons. So yeah, that's kind of just an overview of the merchandise I'll be selling.
Awesome.
Okay, we got a question from Axon Johnson. It says, have you ever been restrained so that you can't escape? How do you react in a situation like that? Are you panicking, or are you managing to remain calm?
So I definitely have been. I've been through a lot of different positions, you might say, as far as like being restrained. I haven't. The one that I had a lot of trouble with was being hogtied with paracord, and the reasoning behind that was, and I haven't tried it for a little bit. It's something that's been on my mind that I want to post and do some content on here in the very close future. But the reason that I was having difficulty with it essentially was because everything was so tight. By the time I started getting into that kind of flow in the position that I could start working on it to escape from it, my circulation was getting cut off, and I was starting to lose feeling in my hands. And it was just at a certain point, I just had to get cut loose. Obviously I had supervision during the time. I wasn't just doing it by myself. But it was just a fine risk between that. And I was 13 when I tried it. So I feel like now I'm probably in a better position that I'm pretty confident I can defeat that. But that's really one of the only things. I'll share a brief story. I was at an event, and it was my 16th birthday, and a former SEER instructor and I got taped to a tree with my arms around it, handcuffed, and then tape around the handcuffs. And he took all the different escape tools I had off of me, and the only thing I had was a handcuff key on my dog tags that was on my shirt. And I don't know if you guys have ever been handcuffed to a tree before, but when your arms are like this, it's kind of hard to reach a key that is dangling on your chest. But within 10, 15 minutes, I was able to finagle my way and get out of it. So that's one of the more extreme, I guess you could say, simulated positions that I've been in as far as escape goes.
Wow. All right. I'm not planning on getting handcuffed.
I just can't imagine. Like, this is blowing my mind.
Oh, I think it's cool. I've watched a bunch of videos and stuff, like how to shim handcuffs and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I'm interested in it and want to learn more. I'll be honest, that's something that I've never delved into. I've watched it and always wanted to, but it's nothing. It's like I've got to find time to do more stuff.
Exactly. It's all about that time balance.
I really think that this would be an awesome class. I mean, just for, kids and teens. And I mean, as awful as it sounds, like if they got abducted or something, if somebody tried to take them and tie them up, how they could get out of those restraints and, hopefully get away from that. Because that happens more times than we like to think, right?
Absolutely. And you do bring up a really fair point with that. It's such a crucial thing. And I had someone ask me at my last class, they were like, what age do you recommend to start introducing this to kids? And I was like, as soon as they have the cognitive level and the maturity to be able to like understand what's going on and like understand what's actually happening, then it's I'd say it's crucial, because you do see the most common people that are getting abducted are children or teens. Yes. And all of it is preparing for something in hopes that it never happens. But if it does, you have that skill set and you have that knowledge to be able to MacGyver your way out of it, essentially. So,
well, I mean, there's so many things in preparedness that we hope we never have to use, but we're glad that we have the skill, right?
Right. And a lot of it too is I don't fear monger. I don't try to use fear tactics or scare people. All of it is just be prepared, like be ready. If something happens, worst case scenario, now you have some valuable skills that you can tuck away in your back pocket. Same thing with preparing. Like people are always like, well, why do you buy all that stuff? Especially with food, it's introduced. Why are you putting away extra food? Worst case scenario, I have a month that I don't have to buy food later down the road. You know,
Right.
like it's going to get eaten. Skills are going to get used. Worst case scenario, it's just something that's going to happen. But I do see a lot where I've got people all the way from young children all the way to elderly. All ages really enjoy the class, and it's all about how you market it to the kids. If you say, all right, listen, this is very serious and you have to learn this skill, then they're going to maybe get scared and it might kind of be a turnoff for them. But if you say, hey, we're going to challenge each other and see who can get out of this duct tape the quickest, or we're going to, and you make it into a fun game, then kids are so much more apt to learning about it.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Jason, Melanie wants to handcuff you.
It'd be all weekend before I got out. So unless I've got my Sawzall or something with me, I mean, I'll get out quick. But.
Well, Melanie, right there is your answer. You want to figure out how to put, set Jason down where he's not running around like a chicken with his head cut off. We're going to handcuff him.
Yeah. I don't know. I would go insane if I was handcuffed somewhere.
So it says, Michael Page wants to know, is it easier to escape from the front or the back?
How's it going, Michael? It is. It's definitely easier to escape during when your hands are restrained in the front. It is a lot harder in the back. It's definitely possible. And there's definitely a few different techniques that you can do other than the main one that I'll teach whenever it's behind your back. And there's definitely other options. It's possible to use the main technique that I teach whenever it's in front, but yeah, it's definitely a lot harder whenever it's behind you.
Oh yeah, I would say it's a lot harder when it's behind you because you can't see what's going on. You got to rely just on what you can feel and stuff like that. And of course, it also depends on what you're restrained with too, doesn't it?
It does. Yep. Like I will say, handcuffs are for me at least, handcuffs are a lot easier to escape from behind the back because I started training with hinged cuffs instead of the chain, and I started doing it in front. And then once you really understand how it all works, you can do it behind the back extremely easy. And whenever you train with something like hinged cuffs that are more maximum security and are a little bit harder to get out of, it's just like trying to start a fire in the rain. If you can start a fire when it's raining, you can do it during the daytime easily. So if you train with something harder, it's much easier to do what is easier and more likely that you're going to run into. But yeah, it's just you train harder, and it's kind of a saying more of the bushcrafting realm of things where it's practice primitive, carry modern. You practice for the worst, but you carry so that you don't ever have to really use those skills.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like most people think they're going to rise to the occasion, but you're going to fall to your your whatever your training is. Some people think it's like, oh yeah, I've got my Glock 19 and something happens, I'm going to be Superman when something goes down. It's like, no, unless you train to be Superman, you're not going to. You're probably going to pee your pants and curl up in a fetal position.
Yep. It's all about simulated stress and actually getting that hands-on training and trying things out. And that mental game is a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Let me see. Shelly, can you get that? We got a question.
Is it harder to escape from the rope or the duct tape?
So to answer that question, it absolutely depends on the position and how it's administered, if that word can be applicable there. I would say rope is, I don't even really go in depth on teaching rope because it is so extremely simple to get out of. And I hit on the technique, but I don't really even do a demonstration typically just because it just makes my wrist raw and anyone can do it. It's extremely simple. I don't typically do that. Duct tape can definitely be one of the hardest things to get out of if it is administered in a certain way that isn't seen very often. But if it is administered in that way, it definitely can be harder. But typically duct tape's pretty easy. Rope's pretty easy. I'd say I classify those as kind of both of the most easy departments, if you will, of escape and evasion.
Miss Sharon wants to know if you have a YouTube channel.
I do. I'm on YouTube and Instagram as Ballistic Mischief is my brand name. logo, everything Ballistic Mischief. And yeah, you can find me on YouTube. I'm posting constantly. Think about every other day I've got some small content posted, and I'm working on building up some more bigger content that I'll be posting. But yeah, Instagram is Ballistic Mischief as well, and then Facebook is Dayton Bornique.
I'm looking up your YouTube channel so I can share it in case they.
Now, Dayton, how'd you get Ballistic Mischief? Tell us how that was born.
So I'd wanted a YouTube channel for a long time, probably since I was 11 or 12. I didn't end up getting it until I was, I believe, 15. Just for my parents wanted me to have the privacy and have all of that stuff. And the internet with younger kids can get so weird and disrespectful in so many ways. So I finally got one at 15, but it was a long process of trying to build up content to whenever I launched my channel, having certain videos out. And I like to think everything through. So I wanted to have something that would be able to grow with me, that reflected what I do. That was just a cool name in general. And I toyed around with a lot of different names, but Ballistic Mischief, I just thought had a cool ring to it. A lot of times it's kind of like a little bit like mischievous. You could tell like I've got it's not just a regular outdoor YouTube channel. And a lot of names, everyone is bushcraft this or tactical this or some sort of craft this, or everyone's got very generic names as far as the gun world or the tactical world or the bushcraft or the survival world, or survival so-and-so or outdoor. It's everyone's got that incorporated in their names, but never once have I seen anyone that's got Ballistic Mischief or really either of those words that are incorporated. And I just thought it had a cool ring to it, and it kind of reflected what I did. So that's what it ended up being.
I like it.
I do too.
Oh yeah. So Shelly, run over some of the Festivus stuff.
Y'all, we have so many workshops. There is no place else that you can go and pay $35 for a ticket. And even if you go to the website and it's the first time you've been there, you sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get a 10% off coupon code. So you can get the ticket even cheaper than $35. But nowhere will you be able to go and pay $35 and go to the workshops. I mean, even one of these workshops, if you went to it on your own, would cost more than $35. You're definitely getting an amazing deal here. Some of the workshops we're having, I'm just going to do, sometimes I go through all of them, but so we're going to have, composting, learning how to do composting, learning how to do canning, learning how to make biochar, fermenting, beekeeping, land navigation, dog training, how to make sourdough, how to build your herbal apothecary. That's just I don't know, a third of them. And then we're also going to have a bunch of amazing speakers. We've got Jeff Smith from the festival up in Ohio, but we know him because he has been to every one of our festivals and supported us over the years. We love Jeff Smith. He's going to be doing a talk on active aggressor awareness and strategies on how to deal with that. Jay Addison is going to be teaching us how to be a helping citizen. Chronically Healthy, they're going to be finding a sustainable path to healing. We've got Dr. Trevor Wilkins. He's going to be coming and talking about how to deal with trauma. William Bond is going to be talking about building a permaculture homestead. And then we've got Bear Independent coming and talking about building community. Again, that's just a handful of the speakers. All of the workshops are going to be happening every day. So if there's a workshop happening and there's another workshop happening at the same time and you can't figure out which one you want to go to, it's okay because they're going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You'll be able to pick a day, pick a workshop. You can get all of the skills for real.
It's going to be awesome. The only part that I hate about it is Shelly and I are going to be running the thing and we're not going to get to do a bunch of the stuff. That's the sad part about it.
It's the worst.
Yeah, we usually get to pick maybe one workshop or one speaker that we can see, and the rest of the time it's just we're putting out fires and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping there's actually 3 or 4 workshops that I really am excited and I want to see them, and Dayton's is one of them. I'm really excited about that. But Jason, why don't you tell them about what's happening Saturday night?
Saturday night is the Caleb House. Caleb with a K is the auction. Anybody is welcome to come to the auction. There's going to be food there. We're going to have a barbecue food truck. If you want to buy dinner, you can buy dinner. If not, you don't have to. It's free to get into the auction. Our goal, we can seat about 325 people in the arena where the auction is going to be. I want to have 350 people there, standing room only for this auction. Caleb House is Bear Independent, TJ. It is his restoration ministry that when they rescue children that have been caught in sex trafficking rings, when they rescue those children, it's the rehabilitation center to where they can come live there and get rehabilitated to where they can break the generational curses of trafficking and sex trafficking. So we're going to do an auction there. We have got we've got everything. You're going to be able to buy and bid on anything from a chainsaw to some ammunition to classes from tactical response, homestead medical, radio made easy, just all kinds of stuff. Andrew at combat art training. We've got classes and experiences. It runs the full gamut. Beekeeping. If you want, we've got a package that it's beekeeping package. You can get your bees, you get your suit, your hive, and you get Greg New to come out to your place and show you how to set all that stuff up. You can't buy this stuff off the shelf. This is stuff that we've put together to get people. It's an experience. I'm excited. Heck, I'm gonna be bidding on some of this stuff. So it's an awesome thing, and all your money is going to Caleb House to build more Caleb House houses there on site to where they can minister and rehabilitate more kids. So that is Saturday night, the 19th. Starting 5-ish, something like that, 5:30-ish is when we're going to be eating and starting that out. So
Melanie put a link in the chat for if you want to know more about Caleb House. She put a link to their website so you can go and find out what they're all about. They're just an amazing organization. Bill Warner says, "Hey, Jason, with that said, you get extra time with any of these speakers because you're running the event."
We do. I'm not going to lie. We get a little bit of extra time because everybody shows up a little bit early, so we get to hang out some. So, yes, I do get some time with it. Shelly gets some time with it. I guess
but
that's
it's kind of like it's all together, It's
Yeah.
it's not like individual time. So, it's not like you can sit and talk to somebody, but it's only for a few minutes for real.
Oh, yeah. But it's fun because, if I want to talk to Dayton, I can drag him and be like, hey, we need like 20 minutes. You can show me something. So it is a perk, but also I don't get to do as much stuff as I want to because I am helping run everything. And this year, I think I'm going to get one of those Fitbits or those step counters and see how many steps I walk for the weekend.
Up and down those doggone stairs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
y'all, if any of you, if you've never been to our festival before, there's going to be a vendor there called Bo's Tractor Works, right? Tractor Works.
Yeah.
They make this cream, this salve that is made out of hemp, and it has like every ingredient in it. I started to look around to see if I have a bottle of it in here, but I don't. Every ingredient in it, you can read the name of. It doesn't have any crazy funky stuff in it or preservatives or anything like that. It is the most amazing stuff for pain. So every year I have that stuff in my pocket and I'm smearing it on my knees because walking up and down them stairs, it just kills my knees. So, check out Bo's booth because he has all the good stuff.
That's awesome.
It's going to be, what, Shelly, how many booths are we up to right now? I know we talked about it earlier. What is?
Hold on a minute. I got my total here. We are up to
close to 60.
Yeah, right at 60. Yeah. And there's more. Jessica talked to like 7 new people today that are going to fill out the form and come in. So we may be getting close to 70.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to have everything. And it's like I tell people, typically, if you can't find it at our festival, you probably don't need it as far as homesteading and preparedness stuff. So, I mean, we're running the gamut from lockpicks to freeze-dried food to knives to homemade goods, medical supplies, everything like that. We're running the gamut on it. So we didn't do any rabbit holes.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was a bit surprised, to be honest.
We've got time. Let's do a rabbit hole. Dayton, what kind of rabbit hole do you want to get down? Shelly hates when I do rabbit holes.
Got so many. You just list something out, and I'm sure we can.
You list it since you're the guest.
Well, amongst all the things that I dabble in, I found myself blacksmithing yesterday, and I was working on a project. It was for my girlfriend. I was going through and I took a file, and actually got one right here. I took a file that looks a lot like this, just one of these just old files I found at a garage sale. Actually, I think I might have gotten this one from Jeff Smith at an event. Just a file like that, and I turned it into a heart, essentially. I went through and I put the curves in it, and just I'm not very proficient as a blacksmith yet. It's something that I'm still aspiring to learn. I'd like to make more knives and kind of dabble into that a bit more, but I just kind of got the itch. So I went through and made this really cool blacksmith heart. I've got pictures of it on my Instagram and a YouTube video that kind of some highlights of it. And yeah, so that was fun. I decided, you know what, it's 92 degrees out. I might as well light up a forge and just light even more.
Just get a little bit hotter.
Yeah, might as well.
Oh yeah. Well, you called me yesterday, and I was working on a video with a water filter. You called me, and you're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Dude, I'm sweating my balls off out here." I was like, "I'm doing this video." I'm like, "This is a wrong time to be doing it." And of course, I picked to do it in the shade. Thank goodness. I'm just like, I'm not doing this out in the open.
Yeah, so, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, I tell you, it was miserable. And y'all will see the video pretty soon, because we've got one of the local farmers. He's still got acres and acres of ground underwater. So I was like, I'm going to go get some nasty, scummy pond-looking water. Man, I got down there, and of course, all the farmers, they knock all the trees out, so you're in direct sun standing by this water, and it's nasty and stinky. I'm like, I'm going to get this water and get the heck out of here. I was like, it was just nasty down there.
I'm sure there wasn't a single mosquito either.
Oh, they were all over that, and there's a ton of ducks. These guys come down and will sit and watch ducks and take pictures of these ducks. And I mean, there's all kinds of ducks on that place.
Interesting.
So, hopefully it'll still be here this winter and we can go duck hunting on it.
That would be awesome. Hey, invite me. I'd love to go. I haven't been duck hunting yet.
Duck hunting.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, duck hunting's pretty fun. So
Melanie wants to know, out of everything you know how to do, what is your favorite? And what do you consider the most important skill to learn out of what you know?
That's a good question.
Hey, real quick, Miss Sharon. Miss Sharon, the last day, there's no last day to get tickets, but the last day to get tickets for June is June 30th to be registered to win the refuge class. So June 30th is the last day to buy tickets to get registered to win the refuge class. But you can buy tickets all the way up to the festival and all the way at the door. So I didn't want anybody to think that we weren't selling tickets after the 30th. So sorry, Dayton, go for it.
No, you're good.
You forgot the question.
I've got a handful of things that I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing a lot more of the tactical stuff. I built an airsoft field on our property, and it's kind of like paintball, except a little bit more realistic. And I do a lot of that as kind of a simulation and training. I enjoy doing all that kind of stuff. I'd say one of my favorite skills, though, is I love fire making. I don't teach it as much as I'd like to, because if I go to an event, there's so many people that are teaching fire making because everyone loves how to do it. But I really enjoy teaching it. I enjoy doing it and learning it. And that's something that even as my interests shift and my class material shifts, and what my most popular class is changes. Fire making is still something that I work on pretty regularly and just try to hone in on my skills just to keep on getting better with that. As far as something that's most important to learn, I would say there's so many skills, and I would say just learning common sense is probably a big one of them. There's not a specific skill that is most important. I would say, I mean, it depends what world you're going at. If you're going at a survival or bushcrafting or preparedness or just the real world, I'd say, I mean, honestly, trying to pursue a life that glorifies Jesus is the biggest skill that I think you can learn, you can take away. But I would say, as far as survival goes, being the biggest thing you got to worry about is water first and foremost. So that's a really big thing. Immediately is water, and then you're worried about food, shelter, fire. All of those people debate on the order of it, but I'd say getting waters is probably your biggest thing and out of immediate danger. As far as more tactical stuff, medical, I think is a really kind of an underdog in all the tactical guys. They like to gear up with their guns and their knives and their plate carriers and chest rigs, ballistic gear, dropping thousands and thousands of dollars on all their stuff, their night vision. And then they lack the training and the equipment for just simple wound care, being able to take care of your buddies or you if you get hurt. And it's the littlest cuts, it's the littlest scrapes, the blisters, the bruises that take a man out whenever you're in a situation like that. So medical training is definitely a big factor that I think is very important. But yeah, so that kind of covers hopefully everything.
Yeah.
Bill wants to know, with the airsoft thing, do you promote the little clay pellets instead of the plastic ones?
So I'm not entirely sure. There's a couple different things that people misconstrue as far as airsoft goes. There's paintball, which obviously you've got paint that are in plastic capsules. Airsoft is plastic BBs that are just entirely plastic. And it's typically like 20 grams to 40 grams is what you'll most likely see. It doesn't, a lot of times people ask which one hurts more. Paintball, I would say, hurts more because there's more surface area, so it'll hurt longer. But airsoft is more of a slight sting. And the reason I like doing airsoft is because all the guns you can see right here, these ones are airsoft, and they're replicas that are extremely close. You can get them licensed by Glock, Smith & Wesson, and you can get gas blowback, so they've got some of that recoil feel. It's just a really good training tool, and it's really fun to kind of play. So as far as that, I've not heard of any clay, unless it's like a pepper ball gun that is shooting a rubber round, then that's more of a self-defense item. They also have BB guns, which is a metal BB, and those are for hunting or recreational purposes, not airsoft, not advised to shoot at people. And then you've got pump guns or pellet guns where you pump it. But yeah, that's as far as I can tell you. Holler Homestead. Yeah, I've not.
Yeah, because they use clay instead of plastic.
There's plastic BBs and then there's biodegradable BBs. I use the biodegradable BBs on our property. That might be what he's referring to. It's not clay. It's still a plastic. It's just a plastic that breaks down a lot quicker.
It breaks down into microplastics quicker, right?
Yeah, it breaks down into smaller pieces that you can't see, essentially.
Well, I don't know too much about airsoft or paintball. I know paintball. If you play it when it's super cold outside, those stupid things will freeze, and it sucks.
I bet that hurts.
Oh my gosh, we did it years ago. One of my buddy's kids got some for Christmas, and it was cold as all get out. And they're like, "Let's go play paintball." We didn't think about it. We were shooting with frozen paintballs. Man, it was not fun. I was like, "This sucks. I'm done."
Yeah, that's terrible. That's like getting hit with those rubber non-lethal rounds out of shotguns and all the stuff they're doing for the riot control and all of that.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
You mean the mostly peaceful protest?
Yeah, the mostly peaceful protest. There you go.
Oh,
with the fires burning in the background and
you see people rushing, beating on cops. Yeah, they're just trying to calm everything down.
The fires are because those poor people are cold.
Right.
So
How are you doing, Kevin?
Because they're not in Kentucky right now because it is like the surface of the sun here.
Yeah, it is hot. So, hey, another thing, the event space is air conditioned, so it's not going to be hot there.
That's awesome. That's definitely a highlight.
Yes, it's going to be to get your food. You got to go outside to get your the cast iron cooking and biochar will be outside, but everything else is going to be in the air conditioning, and we're excited about that.
That's great.
So I'm just curious, not for this festival, but maybe for the next one, like 2026, how hard would it be to set up like an airsoft area for people to do that? How hard would that be?
So for my own property, I took about an acre of our family farm and I turned it into an airsoft field. And I took pallets, I took plywood, I took IBC totes. I have big structures that I've built up that are 2-story. I've taken and put a lot of time and effort into it. A lot of fields you'll see will have like I've got big spools and tire stacks and like all this different stuff. It's not exactly something that's easy just to assemble, but you can if you have like an empty warehouse or stuff like that. It's very easy to set up some non-permanent like structures or mazes to be able to do that kind of stuff. It's just obviously the more clutter that you can use as cover that there is around, the better. But there's
a big building next door to the place that we're at that has like stalls and stuff. It's like one of those where they, shows, you walk around with cows and they show them and all that stuff, and there's stalls all around it and everything. I don't know if Lindsay would let us do something like that, but don't you think that'd be fun, Jason?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be awesome.
And be able to teach like skills. Like you're saying, those guns are just very realistic. Being able to teach skills doing that. I think that might be something we need to check out for next year.
It's an incredible way to learn tactical training, CQB training, firearms handling and safety. Really the only things that it doesn't have that's realistic is the recoil, which they have gas blowback guns where it's like CO2 or green gas, where you do get some resistance there, and like the slide will move and everything. It's just not as much kick as you're going to get. But as far as the guns go, I mean, Glock, Smith & Wesson, there's all sorts of different brands that have licensed airsoft guns. So all the components work the same, except for obviously the mags are a bit different and the feeding system's a bit different. But yeah, I've taught people certain skills using them before, and it's essentially like a gun using blanks except quieter.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. We might have to look into setting that up.
That would be awesome. Yep, and I've got a airsoft channel. It's called Boondock Battlefield Airsoft. If anyone's interested, I don't have a whole lot of content on it right now, but because I host my own events, and as I host events, I will I'll start putting out more gameplay and more content and all that stuff.
Cool. Wheels are turning. All right, Jason, what else you got?
That's about all I've got. I mean, it's been good. We stayed out of too many rabbit holes tonight.
Yeah, we did. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I mean, we could really get down in some, and Shelly hates when that happens, but Shelly.
It depends on the rabbit hole.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Sometimes he just gets weird.
Hey, no. I mean, weird's not a bad thing. We need a lot more weird people in this world.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I mean, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm really excited to see these state governors and stuff that are signing into law to get rid of chemtrails. Those things that don't exist.
Yeah.
They're signing it into law now that you can't do that. But then we found out the last video that we did, I think it was Melanie that was telling us, like, so high up doesn't matter because the government owns that space and they can put whatever they want up there. So It doesn't matter what the governors are doing, but still, I'm very encouraged by that. And it shows that we're not crazy.
Yeah. Efforts being made, at least.
Right.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot you can do short of making the airspace above your land a no-fly zone. But even then, that only is to a certain height.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one more question. Bill says, what's the thing on your list still to learn what is the thing that you still have left that you want to learn? I think is what he's trying to say.
I'm absolutely a lifelong learner. I enjoy learning things, whether it's survival skills or whether it's about how an animal lives and its habits and habitat and all that. Like whatever it is, I enjoy learning. So there's always going to be things to learn. I'm never going to know everything about something. There's always going to be something new to learn about everything. But as far as some things that I'd really like to learn more of is I've done a little bit of knife making and dabbled in that, and I really want to get more proficient at it and start coming out with potentially having my own knives. I really enjoyed like that tactical CQB training and doing more firearms handling and training as far as that goes and kind of going more elite in those levels. I also am going to EMT school this fall. So I'm going to get more of an in-depth on medical and how to do and deal with all of that kind of stuff. But honestly, there's so many things that I have a shallow understanding of and a shallow skill level in that I just want to level up in. So it might be something that I've already tapped into, or I might not have, but I just want to keep on adding to that skill set and just continuing education, I guess is a good way to put it.
Awesome.
We need to hook him up with Jacob. Yeah.
Well, you know Jacob Peterson? Jacob owns Exodus Knife and Tool.
Yes. Yep. I met him at Georgia Bushcraft. I talked with him briefly. I love his knives, and actually he's on my list to stop by his booth next time I'm there. But
yeah. He's going to be at our festival.
That'll be awesome. I'll have to talk.
He lives really close to Jason.
Yeah, he lives in the next county up.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. We've hit an hour or so. I think we've covered everything. If we stay on here much longer, we're going to go in rabbit holes, and Shelly's going to kick back in her chair like she usually does when I do rabbit hole stuff. So we don't want to upset her. So, but guys, get your tickets. Get your tickets this month for the festival, and then also if you get them this month, you're registered to win the last seat in the refuge medical class. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 8:00 to do clickbait and coffee. I'll do that, and then Shelly and I will be back on. That'll be the 30th.
Yeah, we'll be back on with William.
Yeah, William Bond,
consultant.
Yeah, William Bond will be on with us Monday, and then Tuesday, real quick live to draw the winner for the refuge class. So don't miss out on that. So, and then also Wednesday, the 2nd, we're going to be on with Bobby Spags from Midwest, and then we're going to be on with Nicole from Self-Reliance Festival. So pretty much we're
talking about
the poker chips.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some cool stuff.
All right, guys, we appreciate it a bunch. We will see y'all in July. Have a good one.
Thank you, Dayton, for being with us. Bye.